team then to start this game. We're starting with Nicky English, but first Mike Finnerty.
Thanks, Grania. Well, as you can see, the floodlights are on. The weather has taken a turn for the worst in the last few hours. You are welcome back to Championship 2020. 4 teams left standing in the race, or 7 teams rather, left standing in the race for the Liam McCarthy Cup, and 4 weeks it is until the 2020 champions will be crowned at Croke Park. The pressure building and the tension mounting with every passing weekend. Let's take a check on the teams then, and 7 of this Cork team started last year against Kilkenny in the Championship. It's the same 15 that started the win over Dublin last weekend for Cork's 3rd match in 14 days. Colm Spillane from Castle Lions and Glen Rovers' Rob Downey, they form a strong and solid spine in the defence, with Mark Coleman, who had 30 possessions last weekend, picked at number 7. This half-forward line of Harnedy, Kingston and man of the match O'Flynn shot 14 points from play between them last Saturday. And the big news on the Cork bench is that Dara Fitzgibbon is in the matchday squad for the first time in this championship. He's recovered from a serious hamstring injury. Looking at Tipperary, and Liam Sheedy makes 3 changes to the side that lost to Limerick 2 weeks ago, and all the new names on the team sheet are familiar ones. He's called up Michael Brian in midfield, with Dan McCormack and Patrick Bonner-Marr restored to the half-forward line, giving Tip much more ball-winning capability in that sector. The reshuffle up front also means that Jason Ford, who finished with 10 points the last day, he wears number 13 in the inside line. And Tip, captained as usual by the 2019 Hurler of the Year, Shamie Callanan, who of course failed to score against Limerick the last day. So it is a dull and overcast Saturday afternoon here at the LIT Gaelic grounds. Nicky English alongside me. And Nicky, first things first, what do you make of that Tipperary team? What's the message Liam Sheedy is sending?
Well, Tipperary took a lot of criticism the last day for their lack of performance against Limerick, and particularly around the middle third of the field. They were out-muscled and out-manoeuvred and out-fought by Limerick, and that caused a lot of problems. Limerick were able to create space at their end, and Tipperary just couldn't get enough of the ball into the forward line, and Shamie Callanan, as the lads have pointed out earlier, wasn't able to get on the ball. So the changes that Liam has made are all in that area. You know, Dan McCormack, Bonner-Marr, Michael Breen, they're all very, very combative. So Liam Sheedy will be looking for much more aggression out of the Tipperary team in that area to win the ball, and you know, their half-back line to get on the front foot here in these horrible conditions. And if they can do that, then that'll limit the space for the Cork attackers and slow down the pace that they showed last weekend. But as you said, as you pointed out, Mike, the conditions are absolutely atrocious. It's certainly the worst by far weather conditions we've ever encountered in a Tip and Cork match, and it'll be interesting how teams deal with it, and they'll really need to show desire here. It'll be the team that'll show the greatest desire ultimately and fight hard for possession and be able to do something positive with it will be the one to come through.
Well, everyone's eyes were peeled here a few minutes ago for the coin toss, because of course Tip won the toss a couple of weeks ago against Limerick, decided to play against the wind in the first half, and the rest is history. But very tellingly, Shamie Callanan won the toss here about 5 minutes ago and very definitely pointed down towards the city end, showing us and demonstrating very clearly that the All-Ireland champions will play with the strong wind behind them in the first half. And Nicky, you think it's worth 7 or 8 points?
Currently the wind is very severe down into the city end, and you know, the rain is pelting down. So yes, like I was surprised Tipperary chose not to play with the wind against Limerick. I think whatever advantage is there, you take it, and Tipperary clearly signalling their intentions today. They're up for it, and when Shamie Callanan didn't think twice when they won the toss, went for the win straight away.
Well, so many questions will be answered over the next hour and a half or so, and in terms of Cork, Nicky, we'll find out which Cork is going to turn up. The one that went down so disappointingly against Waterford a couple of weeks ago, or the one that delivered another very clear statement against Dublin last Saturday?
I expect Cork to play well. I think, you know, they got that Waterford match out of their system. They made the changes. Robbie Flynn, Jack O'Connor, Luke Mead all came in, adding a lot of pace. And I tell you, Kieran Kingston would have been very happy with the work rate. And if they get that again, this game will go right down to the wire.
Well, just before this qualifier gets underway, we're going to have a moment's silence in memory of the late Tom from Drummond in Tipperary, who passed away this week, and now we're on Navian. There's our referee this evening, James Owens from Wexford. He was, of course, last year's All-Ireland final referee. Very, very experienced. His linesmen, Thomas Welch from Waterford and Sean Clear from Kilkenny. So as you can see, Tipperary will play from left to right in the first half, and away we go. It's another knockout championship game in this most unique of championships. The winners advance to the All-Ireland quarter-final next weekend. For the losers, it is the end of the road in Championship 2020. Rain has got heavier in the last 10 or 15 minutes, falling in sheets here in Limerick. And it will certainly be a day for rolling the sleeves up and grinding this out, you'd imagine. As Cork get a few early touches. Nice, neat transfer there between Declan Dalton and Luke Meade. As Cathal Barrett goes chasing back, gets there just in front of Jack O'Connor. So much interest on the matchups in the Tipperary and Cork defence. Who'll pick up who? At the moment, things still settling down as Brendan Maher lets it in long. Shamie Callanan inside is maintaining he was being held off the ball, and the referee has seen it that way, I think. Now, James Owens was a long way away, but he did spot the holding on Callanan, free in.
Yeah, Damien Callanan had a grip there, you can see, and Shamie Callanan gets his free in. At the other end of the field, Patrick Horgan is, but he's playing full forward and he's been picked up by Ronan Maher for Tipperary.
So Damien Callanan from St Finbarr's already being noted by the referee. And this presents Jason Ford with his first shot at goal. He hit 10 points, all from frees, against Limerick a couple of weeks ago. Wind and rain behind him, and Tipperary lead.
Tipperary are playing more or less as per the programme.
First puck out from Anthony Nash, finds his target, Mark Coleman. Sweeper against Dublin. We expect him to have a man-marking job today as Robbie O'Flynn delivers this ball in towards Horgan. Across to cover for Tip here is Cathal Barrett. Look-away pass to the goalkeeper, Brian Hogan. And Tip cleared their lines. First touch over there from Michael Breen. Back in the starting 15 again today. Ball lost on the way out though as Cork apply the pressure. And eventually Bill Cooper runs out of road, and it will be a line ball to Tip. But already in the first 2.5 minutes, Nicky, we can see the impact the wind and rain is having. Yeah, the
conditions are very, very tough. Your touch is difficult. See there the work rate though from Robbie O'Flynn. It's not just his pace that he brings you. You know, they Tip were working it out, and Cork tightened up on him and put the pressure on, and keep Tip squeezed up into that corner.
We're just watching Mark Coleman. He is sitting in right now in front of the Cork full back line. That's a foul on Bonner Maher, free to Tipperary. But we were wondering just how Kieran Kingston and Liam Sheedy would go about things in terms of dropping a man, dropping a sweeper, Nicky. It looks like in these early stages, Mark Coleman will be free.
Yes, Mark Coleman is playing sweeper for Cork, and at the other end, Brendan Maher is the free man for Tipperary.
So this a much trickier one for Jason Ford. He's standing just inside the Cork half of the field, the Silver Mines clubman. drives it high and true. 2 for Ford, 2 for Tipperary.
In these conditions, no free is easy, but Jason Ford is a super striker of the ball and straight and true.
Anthony Nash bides his time over this. Man making a run is Jack O'Connor, but the ball just held up in the wind, just enough for Bonner Maher to come in and win it, starting his first game for Tip in 17 months this evening after coming back from a cruciate knee injury. Here's Callanan, failed to score 2 weeks ago. The Tip captain showing good close control, manages to squeeze it through towards Dan McCormack, but Mark Coleman quickest to react. Bit of a scramble as Bill Cooper is helped out by Coleman again. 30 possessions the last day against Dublin. Here's Robbie O'Flynn. No foul, referee was playing an advantage, none coming. Cork get the free, but O'Flynn involved a couple of times already, picking up where he left off against Dublin.
Working hard and getting on the ball, and when he gets on it then he's really testing the Tipperary backs for pace. You know, Brendan Maher struggling to keep into him here, and you know, just a little pull back, and the free is rightly awarded to Cork. Good work at the other end previously though by Bill Cooper. He was able to get back to help out Damien Cahalane, who was under pressure with Seamus Callanan. Be interesting here, Patrick Horgan very much into the wind here now. He's an outstanding striker of the ball, but even into this wind now, it's not easy.
He's on 116 so far in the championship, the Cork captain. Hitting this one into the teeth of the wind and the rain, and it just drifted away out to the left. And that a graphic illustration of what Nicky was talking about. Very difficult working conditions for Ford and Horgan here.
For all the players, and you know, it's great credit to all the players really who are putting in the efforts at training to put on these games for us, and largely in bad weather as it turns out in the hurling championship.
Very long delivery by Brian Hogan. First man to react there was Jason Ford, trying to keep it tight. Cork though have men back, one of them Sean O'Donoghue, injury doubt coming into this game, but has recovered to take his place at corner back. That was nicely done by Tim O'Mahony, trying to creep forward. Ball delivered in long by Declan, picked by Horgan. Support very slow in getting to him, so Horgan hangs on a little longer. Across to cover here is Niall O'Mara, goal scorer in the All-Ireland final last year, redeployed to wing back for this qualifier. Here's Dan McCormack, another man back in the team this evening. Callanan is the spearhead of this Tip full forward line. He's got Cahalane for company, Rob Downey as well. Bonner Maher goes back to retrieve it. Difficult to hold his feet, manages to pick out Michael Breen. Breen drives it high and out to the left and wide. Tip's first miss, 7 minutes in.
That's a poor wide from Michael Breen. These are the easy chances like that are the ones teams have to score on a day like today. You had good work by Bonner Maher and by Seamus Callanan to win the ball, recycle it and create a very easy chance for him. And we saw at the other end the impact of the wind when Patrick Horgan got it. Even though he was only 45 metres out from goals, he couldn't even consider a shot at the goals. He had to try and work it in.
So a stoppage. Cork's Mark Coleman is the player who needs some attention. So much speculation in the build-up. Would Tipperary leave him free to sweep? Would they set up in a way that he'd have to pick up a man? And he's already been on the ball quite a bit in the first 7 minutes.
Yeah, I suppose from a Cork perspective, into the wind, it's only right that they would play a sweeper or play an extra defender as Mark Coleman is doing. And Declan Dalton has come back out into the half-forward line, and Robbie O'Flynn is actually playing in the middle of the field, and that's where the extra man is created. And for Tipperary then, Brendan Maher is allowed to be free in their half.
Just one man up for Cork, and that one man is Horgan, racing out to try and get on this ball here, but it didn't carry as far as him. Paddy Maher backtracking, support just behind him from his brother Ronan, and here's Brendan Maher away to the loose man, who's Noel McGrath, the playmaker in the Tip engine room. Poor delivery. Tim O'Mahony rather, coming across, a quick 1-2, and here's Shane Kingston. Kingston holds off the defender, but once again the delivery hangs in the wind, just nicely this time for Horgan though. Back to Declan Dalton, didn't break stride. It's taken them almost 9 minutes, but Cork are up and running.
Great score by Declan Dalton, and good play by Patrick Horgan and Shane Kingston, and in fairness, good advantage by James Owens, the referee.
Well, that's a point, Nicky, you were making earlier before the game, talking about the wind. Sometimes that delivery can just hang up long enough to give the forward the advantage, and it worked there beautifully for Horgan.
Certainly, yeah, the wind holds it up going in, so if you're getting the ball into the wind, it's actually, invariably, it's decent ball. The problem is you don't get enough of it.
Good, strong hand from Dan McCormack, and that's what he's in there to do. Fouled by Luke Meade, and no doubt the return of Dan McCormack, Bonner Marr, Michael Breen in that middle third. Liam Sheedy showing that he felt there just wasn't enough physical presence, not enough ball winners to feed the likes of Callanan and Jake Morris in that defeat to Limerick 2 weeks ago. So Jason Ford standing over this latest free for Tip. Just outside the 45, and practice makes perfect. 3 for him, and Tip lead by 2.
Still after 10 minutes, Tip have a lot of possession, and with that strong breeze behind him, 2 points of a lead in a third of the half is not just really good enough, I'd say.
Puck out from Anthony Nash, intercepted by Bonner Marr. Here's John McGrath, quick look up, nobody in the full forward line. McGrath shoots from long range, just hasn't got the radar locked on yet. But it was interesting there, everybody out the field, so John McGrath took on the shot.
Normally very accurate, John McGrath. He's against Limerick maybe not at his best, and he'd be a player that Tipperary would be looking for a lot more from.
Another Cork puck out, won by Tip. This time though, Jake Morris unable to stay in play.
Dermot O'Sullivan and Kieran Kingston under us, very happy with the work rate from Cork so far.
But certainly that win last weekend in Thurles, a big source of relief and comfort to Kieran Kingston and company. Keeps them in the championship, sets up this local against Tip. So many times in the past, this would be, of course, what's seen as the traditional Munster final in this part of the world, but Waterford and Limerick get the honour of playing in the provincial final tomorrow, as Michael Breen tries to slip it through to Jason Ford, but well cut out by O'Mahony initially. Here's Harnedy, plenty of options, but he's put too much on that pass, and Paddy Marr sitting in all on his own. Will knock it up the line for Alan Flynn, but again, too much pace on the ball, and Rob Downey this time can come across and win it back for Cork. Loose man here is Shane Kingston. Cathal Barrett makes his way across, Kingston cuts inside, and his delivery not what Horgan was looking for either. Both teams turning the ball over on a number of occasions in that last passage of play. Here's John McGrath, who lifts and strikes. Poor effort, and that drops just wide.
It looks like there's loads of mistakes, but it's hard to overstate how bad the conditions are here, and players are slipping and the hurleys are slipping out of their hands, and none of them want to take on the shot actually.
Here's Jason Ford, and that is inches wide of that post. But it has made so much rain here in the first 10-12 minutes. As Nicky said, the grip is proving a problem, handling as well, and the pitch very, very greasy, just to compound things, as Bill Cooper takes a knee and just waits for the Cork medics to arrive, and that allows Tip's Weirferna Tommy Dunn in to deliver a message to John McGrath.
The pitch beforehand, Mike, I walked across it, was quite solid and quite firm, but really with the amount of rain that's fallen, there's no pitch is going to stand up to this.
Play restarts. Puck out from Nash, fierce contest, won by Michael Breen, heading for the sideline. The angle is really tight, but Breen swings it up and over the bar. Beautiful finish from big Michael Breen.
Scored a couple of points against Limerick as well. That's scored the game so far. First from Tip right out on the sideline, and very, very difficult.
Again, the Cork puck-out breaks down. John McGrath surrounded by defenders and fouled by one of them. Free in. Well, Cork are having issues with their puck-out against the wind and the rain, and more pressure coming on the likes of O'Mahony and Cahalan.
Yeah, the initial, there was a little pull on the hand just before, you see here, and John McGrath gets the free. Soft enough, really, I suppose, in the conditions, but there was a little drag.
So the All-Ireland champions continue to top up their lead. That's Jason Ford's fourth of this first half. We're almost at the quarter-hour mark, and so far so good for Tip.
Yeah, they're slowly building up a lead, which they will need if these conditions persist.
Anthony Nash decides to mix this up. Half a dozen players in that sector of the field. Ball falls into the lap of Luke Meade. Hit with a solid shoulder. James Owens gives the advantage to Cork. Now he's going to bring it back for the hit on Meade.
Yeah, late and in the chest, really, so free into Cork. No question. Well, James Owens was trying to leave the advantage, because if Jack O'Connor had got onto that ball, he had clear road in front of him. With his pace, he could certainly have made in on goal.
Well, nobody getting anything easy in that middle third in the first quarter of an hour. Every puck out that drops has 5-6 players all in after it. And this time, Meade fouled, and Horgan will have the shot at goal. Hit 1-9 against Tip in the lead back in February, as James Owens heads in and books Cathal Barrett here. I think the referee's attention brought to something by the umpire there. Barrett had already been noted, so Horgan with the free. It's dropping just over.
Much better strike this time from Patrick Horgan, and even then it just barely gets inside the post. That's a great free into the wind. And every point that Cork can sneak against the wind will really be important for them.
That Cork's first score for 7 minutes. Tip had rattled off 3 in a row. Gets that scoreboard moving again from a Cork perspective, as Tip stitched together a little necklace of passes. Brendan Maher fires it up on the wind, but that one drifts away to the left and wide. Brendan Maher, I think, acknowledging there.
Good work rate from Cork, though, all around the middle of the field. They're working hard, and you know, Shane Kingston just got a little touch on little block on it, or a half block.
So James Owens has called for the water break. That will give Tip and Cork a little bit of respite. They'll get into the shelter of the stand for a minute or so. Tip leading by 3. Let's head down for some analysis from JJ and Ollie.
Yeah, just want to pick up on the two half forwards for Tipperary, Dan McCormick and Bonner Maher. We know what they bring to the table. They have 4 possessions each in the first 10 minutes as well. So they're not only winning frees, but they're actually bringing in the shooters, the likes of John McGrath and Jason Ford into play there as well, to get them on the ball, to have shots at the goal. Very, very hard day to score any score there today. But when you have the likes of John McGrath and Jason Ford on it, you need to get these guys on the ball as much as possible as well. But the Bonner and Dan McCormick are bringing these guys into play as well.
Yeah, Mike, I think, you know, looking at it from here, the conditions are really, really difficult out there. Cork, I think, will be happy enough. You know, they've created a few chances, they've 2 scores on the board. But Tipperary, you could just see, even when you're playing with the wind in these conditions, even having shots from 30, 40 metres out, they're still quite difficult to get over, because we can't underestimate the conditions that these guys are trying to perform under.
Thanks, lads. There you can see Owen Kelly and Dara Egan and Tommy Dunn in your picture as well, just driving Tip on. Nicky, won't come as a big surprise to hear that Brendan Maher and Paddy Maher, most possessions in the game so far, 6 apiece. It tells its own story.
Well, Brendan Maher is the free man for Tip, so you'd expect him to be hitting the ball a lot. He's had a couple of shots at goal, and you know that he hasn't really struck it that well. But you know, at the same time, down at the other end, Cork, you know, dealing well, and not a lot of ball going into our Shamie Callanan in the full forward line, so that's meant to be a worry for Tip as well.
So we're off and running again. Another scramble for possession. Ball kicked out by Dan McCormick, wins it himself. Loose man here is Paddy Maher. Quick look up to spot where Callanan was. There was a late hit on Dan McCormack though. Again, James Owens right on the spot. That there was a chop on the hand of Dan McCormack after he played the pass. So Tip will get the free from out around halfway. And this, again, gives Jason Ford a chance to extend the Tip lead.
The referee, in fairness, is making good use of the advantage rule and letting it off a little bit. There's Shemi Harnedy coming in across Dan McCormack, and James Owens gives Pádraig Maher the chance to actually find Shemi Callanan. He missed him, but back for the free.
So Harnedy a fraction late on McCormack, and Jason Ford from the halfway line. Wind behind him, and this one is off target. That's now 6 wides for Tip.
You can see what Jason Ford is trying to do. He's trying to bring the ball a bit from left to right, but the wind just caught it and swept it away to the left-hand side.
Nash short this time to Damien Cahalane as Cork tried to work it through the lines a little more. Robbie O'Flynn being chased by McCormack, who's lost his hurley. Support from Cahalane, takes the shoulder, but driven over the line by Michael Breen. And Liam Sheedy liked it. Breen happy as Larry as well. Tip laying down another marker.
Yeah, that's what Tip wanted. Dan McCormack, first of all, turning back Robbie O'Flynn, and as Cahalane, big strong man coming out, Michael Breen meets him and yeah, just gets out, knocks him over the sideline, and you see Liam Sheedy and the Tip mentors delighted with that. I saw very little of it the last day against Limerick, so that's what they'll want.
Well, Tip quite obviously pumped up and fired up in this first half. They feel they need to set the record straight here. Very disappointed with their display as they crashed out of the Munster Championship. Line ball, looking for the run of Alan Flynn, and that was miscontrolled by Robbie O'Flynn.
Yeah, again, control just not easy. Robbie O'Flynn got on the ball, but couldn't control it.
Noel McGrath standing over this, clips it up, spots the run of Jake Morris. Nice first touch. He's got Tim O'Mahony for company. Lovely ball. Picks out Flynn, rushes the shot, and that's well wide.
Alan Flynn did really well to control it. It was a very good ball from Jake Morris, but it was coming at him very hard, and the hard bit, but he forgot about the shoot and let him down.
That's now 7 misses for Tip in the first 20 minutes as Nash goes short again. This time it's Colm Spillane. A rare foray forward from him. Takes the hit, but the delivery poor. Nobody there in the half-forward line, so Paddy Maher will return it with interest, but it's a wild delivery. And Anthony Nash happy to let it drift away and harmlessly wide.
Good pressure by the Tipperary forwards and half forwards on Colm Spillane there to create that opportunity for Paddy Maher, but again, not easy, and he missed by a long ways.
Nothing short for Cork this time. Nash goes long, dropping towards O'Mara, backed up by Michael Breen, a point scorer a little earlier. Lets it in long, looking for Callanan. This time Cork's full back line play from the front, and Sean O'Donoghue will take it clear. Spots the loose man, but it's too long for Dalton. Just right for Paddy Maher. Alan Flynn has made a run. Manages to scoop it forward, but Kingston had tracked back. And Cork moving in the right direction once more. Good play by Ronan Maher. Joined at the hip to Horgan. Lost the ball in the traffic. Dug out by Breen. Fires it over the shoulder. Intercepted by Horgan, and now there's a break on for Cork. Chasing back is O'Mara. Horgan is a man inside. Horgan! Great goal! Patrick Horgan with his 23rd championship goal in the wind and the rain in Limerick. And Cork are level. A fast break by Cork, and Horgan makes Tip pay.
What a superb goal by Patrick Horgan. Look, he has an awful lot to do. He chose to go himself and just into the corner. Superb goal for Cork, and their work rate outside was the catalyst to create that chance for him.
Well, he is the man with the Midas touch for Cork, Patrick Horgan. His second goal of Championship 2020. And Tip are now up to 9 wides. The All-Ireland champions who had looked to be in control here not that long ago, now level.
Tipperary have loads of possession in their own half-back line. They're largely unmarked back there, but they're making very poor. No, those last couple of wides were very, very poor, and when Cork get into a combative situation in the middle of the field, they're invariably winning the ball.
And Tip with just the 1 point from play so far in this first half. Cork now buoyed by that goal. Dalton juggles it and fires it in towards Jack O'Connor. Cathal Barrett is racing across with him. Barrett under pressure, lovely pick by O'Connor, but he's all alone. Horgan trying to get there, O'Connor fouled, free into Cork. Well, how quickly things have changed.
Great work rate again by Jack O'Connor. Cathal Barrett had injured, he had the advantage. I thought Jack O'Connor had lost a chance when he came to come back onto the left. Ronan Matter really could have maybe jockeyed him. He didn't really need to foul him, if probably again soft in the conditions, but you know, the Tip had got a free in very similar circumstances at the far side, so great chance for Patrick Horgan.
Well, Cork have only beaten Tip once in the championship in the last 10 years. Tip enjoying the upper hand in this rivalry with 5 wins and a draw in the last decade. But Patrick Horgan, the Cork captain, has just fired his team out in front for the first time 24 minutes in, and Cork have hit 1-2 without reply.
And how important that goal might be is, you know, going to be hard to score into that goals, and to get any goal against the wind is really going to be worth a lot.
As you can see now, almost 10 minutes since Tipperary last troubled the scorekeeper. John McGrath's pop pass was to nobody in particular and intercepted by Sean O'Donoghue. Eats up the ground and then delivers it over the top for Shane Kingston. Sits up nicely for him. Kingston gets a glance at the goals, but into the wind. Drags it out and wide. That's Cork's second. They have been very efficient in the first 25 minutes.
And very pacey. Shane Kingston showing his pace there, as Declan Dalton had done before.
Hogan's puck out, looking for Dan McCormack. You can just sense now Tip a little rattled by that goal from Horgan. O'Mara coming on the burst here is Ronan Marr. Noel McGrath looking for Morris, but Coleman didn't wait. And Cork have the ball back. Dalton very close to the sideline. Ball kept in play. Morris, lovely knock down to himself, and a nice second touch as well to hold off O'Donoghue. Ball just won't come up for him. Now he has it. Breen, Michael Breen swings it high, and that's another beautiful score by Michael Breen from Ballina. His second. Team's level again. Michael
Breen dealing with the conditions better than most. Good work initially by Jake Morris to control the ball, but he made heavy weather of it, but still recycled the ball back out to Michael Breen, and great score for Tip, and one they badly needed.
Teams level for the second time here at the LIT Gaelic grounds under the lights in this All-Ireland qualifier. Niall O'Mara, nice pick. Breen, who's working himself up and down the field relentlessly. This time trying to turn provider for Callanan. Callanan did well there. One flick of the wrist and he knocked that ball away from the Cork man. Oh, Jake Morris held on too long. Good pressure, free out.
Good work by Shane Callanan to dispossess Mark Coleman in the first place, and then Jake Morris is just caught in possession, got in two minds. He didn't know whether to pass it to Shane Callanan, but Cork had plenty of numbers around there, and they have plenty of spirit, and their work rate is really causing problems for Tiff at home.
Tim O'Mahony with 7 possessions. The Cork man who's touched the ball most so far, as Anthony Nash leaves his goal to strike this free. Jumping is Harnedy. Kingston in after it as well. Ball lifted by O'Mara, left behind. This is Alan Flynn from Killadangan, the county champions, and Flynn knocked over illegally, again right in front of James Owens. And this will give Tip a chance just to clear their lines, but considering they have that gale force wind and the rain behind them, this is not the scoreline Tipperary were hoping for. It's just much too close for comfort right now for the All-Ireland champions.
Certainly is. And you saw again there, when Alan Flynn was coming out with the ball, he was met by a wall of Cork forwards, Kingston, Horgan, all doing good work and making it very difficult. And then when Tip do clear the ball, you know, they're under pressure, and the delivery is not really what the inside line of Callanan and McGrath want.
Cork midfielder Luke Meade has just gone into the book, by the way, as the free is eventually taken. Brendan Maher goes long, but too long, over the head of John McGrath, too far right of Shamie Callanan, and now Tip in double figures for White.
And wides like that really are, you know, very hard to take if you're in the full forward line. You know, there's no real, it's not an effort for a point, and it's, you know, it's not a ball that a full forward can win in front of them, and just going harmlessly wide, and that's been the pattern for Tip.
None of the Tipperary forwards have scored from play yet, as Cork win that break. And once more, it's Dalton looking for O'Connor. Chasing back is Paddy Maher. Under pressure from two Corkmen. Cathal Barrett there in support. Harnedy trying to lift it as well. Ball getting closer and closer to the end line before eventually O'Connor does get it under control. Back to Declan Dalton, goal scorer a week ago. Currently stationed at centre forward. Bill Cooper, quick 1-2 to buy time and space. Loose man is Tim O'Mahony. Takes it, steadies, shoots and scores. Tim O'Mahony up from wing back, and Cork back in front.
Seriously good play from Cork. They recycle the ball again and again. Watch, Bill Cooper has the vision to pick out Tim O'Mahony at the far side. A great strike, but that was all it created again, winning a ruck up in the Tipperary right corner back position, and all the rucks, all the work rate is coming from Cork.
And here it is again, Sean O'Donoghue out in front. Tim O'Mahony knocks it out of danger, collides with Bonner Maher, who wouldn't give up on it, and that allows Jake Morris in for a second bite, but Rob Downey it was covering back. Now Jason Ford, before eventually Downey gets it in his hand, and Damien Cahalane will pass it on quickly to Coleman, and O'Donoghue once more. That was neat and tidy by Cork. Michael Breen, he's lost his hurley, trying to use any means necessary to get it back. Cork have the ball though. Harnedy striding clear, leaving Niall O'Mara there trailing in his wake, but it's a poor ball. It's too short for Horgan, who battles to win it back again. The work rate from the Cork forward line, just what Kieran Kingston would have asked for. His son Shane there, knocked off it by Barrett, and Brendan Maher across to Paddy Maher, and this time it's Tip who managed to tidy it up, and Maher from the 45 up the line looking for Callanan. Once again though, just knocked off his stride by Damien Cahalane, who has really shut down the Tip captain in the first half an hour. Ball lost in the tackle, and Alan Flynn has it back again. Two Corkmen, one Tip forward.
Inside the Cork 45, there was only Bonner Maher for Tipperary, even though Tipperary are playing with a strong breeze.
That Tip forward line out of shape as Maher fires it back, and that's knocked high and over the bar for Tipperary's equaliser. Jason Ford with his first point from play. Deadlock again.
Good strike by Jason Ford in the conditions, and Tipperary really need every score they can get just before half-time.
Well, that was a pretty ragged passage of play. Conditions taking their toll. Both teams trying to build up some momentum, get their respective passing games going, but easier said than done. Jake Morris lays it off. Ball rolled forward to Alan Flynn, who again has crept forward. Flynn missed a little earlier, and he's just missed again.
Missed on the other side. Again, not easy, but again, the shooters that Tipperary want to get on the ball are the likes of Jason Ford, Seamus Callan and John McGrath, and you know, we've seen on two occasions Alan Flynn up from cornerback. Cork working the ball much better when they get on it, and finding their men, recycling, working hard, and I'd say Kieran Kingston will be very happy with their play coming up to half-time.
Tim O'Mahony in the wars, the wing back from Newtown Shandrum. played at full forward in his under-21 and indeed Fitzgibbon Cup days as well. Very versatile, and so far 9 possessions and a point to his credit in this quarter. Nicky, as we swing in towards half-time, it's every bit as tight as most people thought it would be.
It's very tight, but except that Tipperary are playing with a gale force wind, and you can see there Tim O'Mahony standing up Jake Morris, whereas Cork are able to run and get by the Tipperary opponents. Tipperary are struggling to get past and create any good possession.
Again, there's a fierce tussle for that breaking ball. Michael Breen just spills it in the tackle, and Shane Kingston takes it on. Good pressure by Brendan Maher from Borrisalee. All eyes on Sean Clear, and the linesman gives the benefit of the doubt eventually to Cork.
Yeah, you can see Brendan Maher's hurley coming in, touching it out.
So
Tipperary are going to ring the changes. They're not going to wait till half-time. Willie Connors is coming on here, and John McGrath's being replaced. And you know, at his best, John McGrath would be a huge loss for Tip. But he's just today, it's not been really his day.
Well, he certainly found the going tough, the Tip number 11, and it's Willie Connors from Killadangan, also came on in the All-Ireland final last year. He's in. Ball cut in by Dalton. Beautiful strike. Just wide of that far post, but there wasn't much in it.
Declan Dalton and Mark Coleman, two of the best line ball takers in the country, and he didn't miss by much.
So stalemate for the third time. This is Ronan Maher, all-star full-back last year. Hit that with everything he had. Nothing wrong in terms of distance, but that's away for a 12th Tipperary wide.
Yeah, Tipperary's confidence is, you can see it's ebbing away as regards shooting. Now Ronan Maher is normally very accurate, but again, you know, he's plenty pressure from Cork, and Tipperary hitting the 70-yard shots, 80-yard shot for points.
Who was caught there, Robbie O'Flynn. Cork felt he deserved a free, none coming. Jake Morris knocking it in towards Willie Connors. First time ball to Noel McGrath. He thought there was somebody on the right wing. Callanan didn't get there, and Cork have managed to get it away outside their 45, but won back by Flynn. Did well. Here's Dan McCormack. For once he has a bit of time to work with, and Dan McCormack drives it high and over the bar. So Tip back in front. Little bit of afters involving Alan Flynn and Declan Dalton, but no more or no less than you'd expect. Tipperary lead as we head towards additional time at the end of the first half.
Yeah, they both continued to tangle on the ground, but it was a good score by Dan McCormack, who has played well for Tipperary on his return.
Well, when people talk about winter hurling and a winter championship, Nicky, this is what they had in mind.
Mercifully, the rain seems to have eased a little bit now, but yeah, it's been, the weather conditions over the last couple of weeks have been really tough for the players, and even at training, you know, the weather has been Tuesdays and Thursday nights have been bad. So it's great credit to these players, you know, to go through all the protocols, go into training, sometimes go home without a shower, and you know, there's not a lot of fun in it, but you know, they're showing a lot of skill and a lot of application, and very enjoyable.
So a quick word for Alan Flynn and Declan Dalton. James Owens happy enough, that'll do for now. First minute of additional time has almost come and gone. We'll have at least 2. Right now it is advantage Tipperary, but only just. That's a foul on Niall O'Mara by his opposite number, Tim O'Mahony. Furious with the decision, and he's spoken out of turn, and ball moved forward by James Owens, and this just might be inside Jason Ford's range now.
Yeah, certainly Jason Ford will be well within his range. Kieran Kingston again not happy with that free, but you know, it's just the day that's in it. There's players getting tangled, and James Owens has done a pretty good job to now.
So Jason Ford just trying to compose himself. This to give Tip a 2-point lead at the break. Ford seems happy. It's right over the black spot. 6 points for the Tip sharpshooter Jason Ford.
Yeah, the Cork players are not too happy with it, so let's have another look.
Well, it looked at first glance like it was good, and it is. Up goes the white. I think maybe a few Cork backs there trying to put doubts in the minds of the umpires or maybe the referee, but the score stands, and now we start to wonder, Nicky, a 2-point lead at half-time, turning around to play against the wind. It's nowhere near enough.
I certainly wouldn't have thought that it was anywhere near enough, but at the same time, you never know. Like, Tip have to get in and work, and maybe the ball up to their forward line in the second half might just suit them a bit better, and Cork might have the same problems with the wind that Tipperary are after experiencing.
So there goes the half-time whistle. Kieran Kingston with plenty to think about, and Liam Sheedy too. This is very much still in the balance. It has been a real battle, but at half-time here at the LIT Gaelic grounds, it's Tipperary who lead Cork by 9 points to a goal and 4. We'll be back with analysis next.
Oh, lads, that's it. That's poetry in motion there, I tell you. Absolutely brilliant.
Show these boys how to hurdle.
Championship is back.
Championship.
It's championship.
Championship is just different. It's the big day.
This year is our year.
The big moments. We all have different styles.
Do you know yourself? Won't touch the facts.
Our own philosophies.
It's all about creating space.
Deep down, we all just love our counties.
I love me county.
And we love our game. We can't explain it. It's a part of us.
It's championship.
Where style meets substance. Littlewoods, Ireland.
They say time waits for no man. So why do us guys still put things off, even when they're easy to deal with? By age 35, it's common for men to experience hair loss. At Sons, we could help you stop the clock. We deliver clinically tested hair loss treatments direct to your door. All you need to do is take our free online consultation and we'll tailor a treatment plan to your needs. Get your first month for just £17 with no contract at sons.co.uk.
Dear Santa, it's been a rubbish year for us sportsmen and women. Even though we trained hard, we weren't even allowed to play that many games. And sometimes when we did, we didn't even get picked. But next year will be better, right? And I can't wait to pull on the green. Or this green. Or maybe even some blue. Or whoever will have me. So this Christmas, I don't want much. I just want to get out and do my best with my friends. Oh, Mom says I could do with some new boots. These are my brothers and they hurt my toe a bit. Be safe out there, Santa. Jack.
Sport makes it magic at Intersport Alvarez.
Tia Maria, one of a kind.
So these are people that tried to kill us?
Yeah. We kill everyone on the list.
Yeah.
Do you really think they come back?
I know, Jack. This is unfinished business.
Oi!
It used to be fun.
I'm still fun!
I'm coming for you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Remember what your mum said? Act normal.
Championship Hurling, the clash of the Ash. Helmet and Hurley at the ready. Centra, proud sponsors of the Hurling Championship.
It's half-time in Thurles, and when these sides met last year in the Munster round robin, it was Tipperary who led by a point at the break. Today it's Tip who lead this time by 2 points. Yeah, Ollie and JJ have been watching that first half with me, nearly blown away up here, but I can't imagine what it's like down there. The conditions have been dreadful in that first half, Ollie.
Yeah, extremely difficult for the players. We've seen, you know, fouls maybe that were just a case of the conditions, and then some relatively some easy chances for Tipperary as well, but there's probably no easy scores today. Very difficult for the players. The good news, I suppose, it stopped raining for the time being, so hopefully it'll improve for the second half.
Yeah, I know both teams have to play in these conditions, JJ, but what have you made of the first half?
Yeah, look, Cork brought a lot of work rate to the table. A huge first half from say their half backline midfield and their half forward in there as well. A massive amount of work rate that came into it. And look, they're making their own look as well. Patrick Horgan got a brilliant goal there in the first half there as well. But they're hanging in there, and that's what they did in the first half. They hung in there. They knew what they had to do when they played against the Elements. As Nicky said, it was a 7 or 8 point lead at half time, and they're only down by 2 points out Cork. So they were very happy with their first half performance, I'd say, you know.
OK, well, let's just take a look at Tipperary in that first half. And I mean, they won the toss and they chose to play with the wind. Has that been a good decision?
You know, it's always the million-dollar question. Do you take the Elements and hopefully get settled down quickly? But we can see here a couple of chances for Tipperary. Now, normally, you know, a normal day of hurling, these chances would be probably put away by these players because they're so good. But you know, they're trying to judge the wind, they're trying to judge the rain. Brendan Maher there, he's just thrown one up there and he's trying to guide it over the bar, but unfortunately the wind takes it away. So you've had Tipperary, I think, with 12 chances. Here's another one, and this looks like the ball just slips off the hurley. You've got a wet hurley boss, you've got a wet slitter. They're difficult chances in these conditions, but definitely Tipperary would be disappointed that they maybe haven't got another 3 or 4 points on the board when they had the opportunities. So they had 12 wides in that first half. The positive side of that is they've made 12 chances there in that first half, and they'll be probably looking to, if they are making the chances in the second half, to put them away.
Do you think maybe Cork might be a little bit disappointed with the frees that they've conceded?
Yeah, look, you can take the Elements into account there as well, but I don't think they're very bad frees to give away. The reason being is that there's always 2 or 3 Cork guys around the Tipperary forward there as well. What they're trying to do, they're trying to make it as difficult as possible for the Tipperary forwards, make sure they don't get a clean strike at it. You've seen the last one, Alan Flynn taking a shot at the goal. Seamus Harney was back trying to get the hook in there as well. So they're doing a huge amount of work in it. You see John McGrath coming through here, but there's 3 Cork guys around as well. They're making it very, very hard for them. Look, they're a bit overzealous in their attacking, all right, but I don't see that as a bad thing. When you win any championship game, you have to play it to the line. At no time they went over the line and they're punished by it, but it's a good sign for this Cork team.
And it's so difficult to get scores. Probably for the viewers at home here, maybe not aware how difficult it is, but it is very, very difficult. So I suppose one shining light for Tipperary in that first half was Michael Breen. He has 2 phenomenal scores. Yeah, we mentioned Michael Breen before the game. He committed midfield for Tipperary. You know, he's a very, very strong player physically. You know, he brings a lot of energy to this Tipperary team, and we see him getting on a couple of balls here in the first half. Now, that strike there, you know, in an evening like this evening, that was exceptional. You know, you have a couple of chances, a split second to take that shot on, and the connection he made with that one was brilliant. This one again, you know, the middle of the park, he floats it up there and it just drops over the bar. So again, Michael Breen has adapted really, really well. Probably one of the top performers. He's on, I think, 10 or 12 possessions as well in that first half. So Liam Sheedy will be very happy with his performance in the first half there. OK, well, let's sit down to Jamesy. Jamesy, you're in the bowels of Mackey stand there, so nice and warm and dry. So what have you made of Cork's performance?
Yeah, I think the lads have hit the nail on the head. They've worked really, really hard, brought a lot of energy. Luke Meade, Robbie O'Flynn, Seamus Harnedy, you know, tracking back deep and just feasting really on breaking ball and making life difficult for the tip forwards. Now, we're going to focus on 2 things. I suppose the first thing is the Cork puck out. And I suppose given the conditions, it's understandable why Anthony Nash maybe is loath, you know, to go short, all right, to his full back line, or maybe even Mark Coleman, who we've highlighted here as a sweeper. So, he was more inclined to go long, but Tip working really, really hard. You know, the half forwards out the field. Again, this is straight into the lap of Bonner Maher, you know, and again, setting up a Tipperary attack. So, nothing happening on that side. He goes the far side. Again, Tip, loads of bodies. Brendan Maher up, lovely ball off to Dan McCormack and giving him a shot at goal. Now, this time, Robbie O'Flynn here makes a great run, you know, to give Nash that option. And Nash, you know, has a chance now to ping the ball short to one of his players. Unfortunately, just slightly overhits it, understandable in the conditions. What have we got? We've got Tipperary forwards, you know, converging, putting pressure on him, and they managed to turn over and get on the attack. So real pressure on the Cork puck early on, and it had to be a concern for Kieran Kingston. Now, just from the high behind shot, one of the things that Cork had a lot of success in the Waterford match was, here's Shane Kingston at wing forward. Now, his starting position over here, he wants to take the Tipperary wing back out of there leave this space on this side of the field for Anthony Nash to ping the ball into. That gives an opportunity then for someone to attack that space. Now, we clear all off that because that hasn't been available to him because Pádraig Maher has stationed himself on that side of the field, and that takes away, as I said, Nash from going to his right hand side. He's no option then in the circumstances other than to go to the opposite side, and from there, Tip happy to turn into a contest, and once again they turned over the Cork puck out. So Nash will have the wind behind him in this half, but certainly Tip. Doing a lot to curtail the success that Cork had on their own puck out, particularly I think in the opening 20 minutes. Now, I suppose given the conditions and given the wind that Cork are playing into, it's understandable, that they've had to maybe play the shorter game and run the ball out. But what's impressed me, I suppose, really is how well they've done it. Now, Anthony Nash in goal, but if you count the numbers here, I think there are 10 or 11 Cork players in their own half of the field. And once, they get the ball in their hands, all these guys, Harnley, Robbie O'Flynn, Bill Cooper, all right, Shane Kingston, they're getting forward. And they've played this possession game, this running game really, really well. Lovely little stuff. Mark Coleman going to pop it off there to Robbie O'Flynn. And Brendan Maher, arm around and just a little tug there. And it's a free for Patrick Horgan. Again, Tim O'Mahony, he's off. Again, we see Seamus Harnley down the bottom of the screen, ready to turn and go. Bill Cooper, Tim O'Mahony, who gets on the end of this, and all these guys, once Cork have possession and get that running game going, are bursting up the field, and that's created problems for Tip. And Cork have certainly played this running game really, really well, particularly given the conditions. And O'Mahony now with an opportunity to set up another attack. Now, this is the Cork goal, and again, Shane Kingston out the field, Patrick Horgan out the field. Okay, Seamus Harnley's in there, Robbie O'Flynn is in there, all right? And they've sucked Tipperary defenders out with them. Now, Pádraig Maher, sweeper, you'd imagine that he'd be playing back in this position here. Here's Brendan Maher, who's also got dragged out the field. And really, I suppose, this is a bit of brilliant play by Patrick Horgan because he picks Brendan Maher's pocket. And when the ball comes back to Maher here, Horgan, lovely little flick in, and from here, there's open road in front of him. And he's not the quickest player in this Cork team. We mentioned about Robbie O'Flynn, Jack O'Connor, okay, Shane Kingston inside, but he still has the wheels to get away. Now, he has obviously Jack O'Connor inside, but given the conditions tonight, that's a high-risk option. He's better off taking the shot, and he hits the deck and gives Brian Hogan no chance. And a massive, massive score, a crucial game, which really swung, I think, the match back Cork's way. So some good stuff from Cork, but they're still 2 behind, and a big, big third quarter coming up for Kieran Kingston's side.
Yeah, thanks, Jamesy, for that. And just, JJ, just maybe chat about that goal, Patrick Horgan. Like, it was a brilliant goal, and obviously the conditions were so difficult for them. But Niall O'Meara there in his positioning, should he have done better in that situation, do you think?
I think he got back into a position where he could actually intercepted Patrick Horgan there as well. He made up around 20 yards on Patrick Horgan, fairness, within a short space of time, but he was there to get a hook. He was right beside him. Maybe he was expecting a throw to Jack O'Connor. He was going on to actually going to tackle him, but to me he should have got in that hook or the block there as well, because even when you look back on the illustration there from James as well, Brian Hogan was expecting to pass to Jack O'Connor as well. He took over 1 step to the left, expecting the pass, and actually Patrick Horgan put it in the right corner, so he was kind of on-footed there as well. So look, again, with the genius what Patrick Horgan is, he hit into the ground, he used the conditions straight into the bottom corner, great. But you couldn't underestimate what that does for the confidence, even for Cork back. See that go up there, Patrick Horgan go up and stick a goal. Within these conditions, a huge score for Cork.
You're nodding in agreement there, Ali.
Yeah, I was just looking back at the clip there that Jamesy went through, and you could see Brian Hogan. He actually did take the step because he anticipated that Patrick Horgan would release that hand pass out to his right. But Patrick Horgan and some of these forwards, there's stuff happening on the field there that people don't even pick up on. Patrick Horgan obviously saw that movement and then decided to put it in low into the left-hand corner of the goal. So a brilliant finish, but if you look back on that, you could see the movement from the goalie.
Just another thing that you mentioned there, which I thought was interesting, was confidence. I mean, from Tipperary's view, we talked about Jamie Callanan beforehand as well, lads. He's found it extremely difficult to get any possession today.
Yeah, but I think the guys out the fielders are not doing him any favours. They're taking long shots from midfield, and the conditions looked at probably wind at the back. You'll always have a pop at the goal, but the first couple of minutes he got a couple of balls, and he had Damien Callanan in a small bit of bother, but then the balls had to dry up coming in, and I was used to mark Seamus Callanan a couple of times, and when the ball is not coming up, he's very, very easy to mark, but when the ball is coming in, he's near enough impossible to mark. But with the second half, with the elements, playing against the elements, so they'll play a lot more balls into him as well. Like, so it might actually benefit Tipperary in a way that they won't be shooting from outside the field because they won't reach the goal, so they'll have to play it in a bit more into Jamie Callan. So it might actually benefit the Tipperary forward line.
And I think Mark done a decent job as well. He's sitting right in there in front of Seamus Callan, and he is cutting out ball. I think he's on 8 or 10 possessions, so he plays that position really, really well. And sometimes when the Tipperary players look up and Mark Coleman is in your eye line in front of Seamus Callan, then maybe that option's not there. So he's playing that position well today as well.
But Jamesy, when you see some of those shots that were going in by Tipperary, I mean, was it the best use of their decision making at that particular time?
No, it wasn't, and I think one of the mantras of Eamon O'Shea and what Tipperary have been so good at over the years is getting the ball to the shooters, the finishers, the Jason Fords, the Seamus Callans, the John McGraths and Noel McGraths, and they haven't managed to do that. I mean, Callan, I don't know if Callan has actually had a shot at goal tonight. Brendan Maher's had a couple of uncharacteristic wides from distance. Alan Flynn up from cornerback has had a couple of shots at goal. He's missed both of them. Pádraig Maher has I think had 2 wides, and Tip, haven't done what they're normally so adept at, and that's getting the ball, to the shooters, the forwards that are accurate, that are more likely to put the ball between the posts. Now, again, maybe playing into the wind, as JJ alluded to, they'll have to try to service those inside forwards. But, if Seamus Callan has as little impact in the second half as he did in the first half, I think Cork are going to win this game, and Tip have to find a way to get the ball into Morris, into Callan, and Mark Coleman, as Ollie said, has done a really, really good job. He hasn't, got sucked out the field. He's conscious of playing, closer to the D, and I think it's important that he sits back there and maybe, takes away maybe that goal threat that Tip was always possessed.
Let's just have a look at a graphic first before we go on with this, because I mean, Seamus Callan, when he normally plays against Cork, it's phenomenal. Like, this is his record against Cork lads over the last number of years. So, I mean, the conditions are bad, but can we put it all down to conditions?
No, you can't put down the conditions, but on decision making out the field as well. And we said we just need to get the ball into him. Once he has the ball in his hands, you either have to foul him or he's going to score, one or the other. It's very, very hard to dispossess because he's doing a lot of, but he's not actually staying in the full forward. He's actually come out the field because the ball's not coming in. He's coming out the field. Once you have Seamus Callan away from the goal, the furthest away from the goal he is, the better for your own team as well. So I think Tipperary are going to have to get the ball into him as much as possible in the second half.
And John McGrath has been taken off as well.
Yeah, John, it didn't go well from this evening. He failed to get on to any ball really at all. But look, they're going to need more than Seamus Callan in the second half to see this game through.
Okay, well, let's head back then to Nicky and to Mike.
Thanks, Grania. Welcome back. James Owens not hanging around at the start of this second half. This qualifier off and running again. Doesn't look to be any changes on either side. Tip defending a 2-point lead and defending the city end here at the LIT Gaelic grounds for the second 35 minutes. And remember, we will have a winner one way or the other tonight. Extra time and penalties there if needed, as Cork try to make some early inroads. And that's a terrific score from Shane Kingston. He's come flying out of the blocks, his first point of the match.
There you see the pace of Shane Kingston, looks straight through the middle, and he's very accurate now when he shoots. But poor use of the ball by Tip out of defence. They're going to have to use the ball better, and they're going to have to run with the ball, and that's not normal at Tip style.
That break read well by Willie Connors, trying to make an impact, and Willie Connors has struck that beautifully. An instant reply from Tipperary.
Great reply by Willie Connors. I think he was hesitant initially, was looking for someone to pass it, and then just headed into space, and good shot, good point, and a good response.
Well, the rain has thankfully stopped here in Limerick. Wind might have died down a little as well, so might not be as beneficial to Cork as it was to Tip, although you can make a case that Tip didn't make a whole pile of use of it. All of those wides, just a 2-point advantage. And Nicky, you were making the point as well during half-time, their style of play not particularly suited to playing against a wind like this.
But you see, you can get better ball into your full forward line, but I think the wind is so severe now, it has eased a little bit, as you say, but Tipperary need to hold on to the ball. They really need to run with it like Cork did in the first half, probably draw a few frees. But that's not really they don't run with the ball that much, and they don't have the players with the pace. Dan McCormack and Bonner Maher in the half-forward line, they're not the kind of players that are going to run with it. They're going to hit it in.
And they've just come off second best again in that tussle over on the far side. And Seamus Callan in just 2 possessions in the first half. As JJ said, the supply has not been good or plentiful, but without Callan getting on ball, Tip are going to struggle, you'd imagine, to keep putting scores on the board. That's good pressure. And it's a free against Rob Downey for holding on too long. James Owens very definite about it.
Willie Connors has had a good impact since he came on. You know, Rob Downey slips a little bit, but Willie Connors stands him up. You get a free for that one maybe, but in this case not, and James Owens gives a free for overholding.
Well, the arm looked high, and both Kieran Kingston and Diarmuid O'Sullivan are letting the linesman on this near side know about it. That's Patrick Welch from Waterford. Jason Ford with the free, and that's tailing well away from the target. And that's now 13 wides for Tip.
Like the difficulties that Patrick Horgan would have the free in the first half, Jason Ford having much the same, but you wonder even why you'd even go for it from there.
Ball well won by Mark Coleman. Tipperary, all of those shots taken, chances created, just 10 taken so far in terms of scores on the board. That's Bonner Marr there doing the heavy lifting and the dirty work. He's won a free, just hitting the back by Shane Kingston.
Yeah, Shane Kingston, you know, complaining that he didn't, but you know, there was really, whether he did or he didn't, there was really no need for it. Look, Robbie Flynn was there, and they had Bonner Maher up against the sideline, so you know, it was a poor free by Shane to give away.
Well, Tip have brought Brian Hogan out of the goal to strike this. He's got a terrific belt of a ball. You can see in the background there some artwork from the primary school pupils at St. Arne's in Charleville in Cork, adding some colour to the backdrop as Hogan drills that wide across the face of goal and wide, and they're hitting them now from everywhere and anywhere.
Yes, the scores at either end are probably going to be at a premium, so you know, every score is vital here.
The clash of the ash rings around the Gaelic grounds. Ball squirts out towards O'Donoghue. His pocket picked by Connors, and away goes Michael Breen. Callanan breaks inside. Michael Breen knocks over his third point here in Limerick, and Tip lead by 3.
Michael Breen has been Tip's best player today, and again, you see he has the legs, and he picked over his third point.
He had the most possessions of all the players out there in the first half, a dozen. That number still climbing. Here's Harnedy down at the other end, and that's much better from him and Cork. His first score.
Jimmy Harnedy hasn't been on the ball very much, and Cork will want him the last couple of weeks. We've seen him getting in, and when he does, he gets scores all the time. He'll score points freely.
Pace of the game now starting a little. Players don't have the heavy rain to contend with, but that's a slip by Noel McGrath. Declan Dalton soccer styles it down towards the Tip goal, and he's managed to win a free. Well, he'd lost his hurley, and a la Nicky English back in the day, Decky Dalton makes some ground and wins a free.
He had a bit more to do than I had, Mike, back in the day, but actually Tipperary were lucky that Declan Dalton did lose his hurley there, and James Owens give him the advantage again. And but if he had a hurley, then they had a Jack O'Connor free inside, and that would have been a certain goal, well, a great goal chance at least.
Well, Decky Dalton did very well there to keep that move alive, and he's created this scoring chance for Horgan. That tried and trusted routine, and now just a puck of the ball between them. That's now a goal and 3 for the Cork corner forward.
The wind has eased a bit, but certainly, you know, the rain stopping has helped the players a lot.
Brian Hogan looking for Jake Morris. Again, there's nothing clean. Morris back to retrieve the break and feed it through to the 2-man inside forward line. Jason Ford manages to get there in front of Spillane. Ford goes low, and Ford drills it under Nash and into the back of the net. Well, it took Tipperary quite a while, 42 minutes to be precise, to create their first goal-scoring opportunity, and it's finished by their top scorer, Jason Ford.
Jason Ford did superbly there. You know, get the power on the shot to get it in under Nash, and Colin Spillane is no slouch at full back, and just under Nash's legs, and that's a big score for Tipperary.
That's a 6th championship goal of his career for Jason Ford. Jake Morris tries to top it up, and Nash solid under the dropping ball. But that goal from Ford has really knocked Cork back in their heels now. and the All-Ireland champions are 4 in front. Here's Callanan. Rare chance for him to get a ball close to goal. Now, can he finish? It's high and it's close, and the umpire makes his way to the flag and says the score is good. Seamie Callanan with his first point of Championship 2020 against Limerick, scoreless in the first half. Now he's up and running.
Big move on the scoreboard by Tipperary in the last few minutes, and they're playing an awful lot better.
And here they come again. There's that blue and gold wave now sweeping down towards the Ennis Road end as Callanan again gets out in front. He makes it look so easy, out in front of Callan. This one wide on the far side, and that's now 15 wides for Tip, but they're 5 in front.
Seamie will be disappointed with that one, but better service coming into him, and when the ball is coming in front of Damien Cahalane like that, Seamus Callanan will do damage.
Well, now it's starting to feel more and more like a do-or-die championship match. Willie Connors takes the tackle. Going by was Ronan Marr. Callanan says he was being held by Damien Cahalane. James Owens not interested. Cahalane has given the ball away in any event, and Tipperary will try another avenue. Ronan Marr, who stayed forward, tackled and fouled by Bill Cooper, and Ronan Marr knows that's another big moment. Free in.
The momentum certainly has switched here, and Tipperary doing all the attacking now. And look at the amount of Cork players around Ronan Marr there. He hasn't anywhere to go, and Bill Cooper doesn't need to foul him in that situation.
Liam Sheedy happier with the first 9 minutes of this second half, and now it's the turn of Kieran Kingston and the Rock O'Sullivan to look a little worried.
Yeah, Liam Sheedy at half-time, he had to tell the Tiplers they needed more desire to get stuck into it more, and you know, it looks like even playing into the wind is suiting them a better, because the better service going into their full forward now.
Jason Ford just outside the 45, and Jason Ford has missed. Well, that was one you normally would have jotted in the notebook before he'd struck it, but it's one of those nights.
Yeah, again, you have to make allowances for the conditions, but you know, the last couple of misses from Tip there, from Seamie, Callanan and Ford, you know, you'd wonder would they regret those as the game goes on, because they were very easy.
Well, James Owens there had a quick word with his umpires, and it's Damien Cahalane and Seamie Callanan he wants to talk to.
Yeah, I think it's going back to the previous incident where Seamie Callanan thought he was being held by Damien Cahalane. So whatever happened, I didn't see it.
Well, James Owens there seemed to be saying that one is giving as good as the other, but Callanan obviously feels as the forward he's the one being sinned against. But no card, away we go. Nash with the puck out, but it was very much on the edge there. Michael Green did win it, but Cork have got away with it. There was a foul. Yeah, Anthony Nash there trying to thread the eye of the needle.
Yeah, and good pressure from Tipperary. Now Michael Breen overcarries it clearly, and the free is to Cork, but the momentum certainly switched, and Tip's work rate around the middle of the field is a lot better, and the Tipperary mentors in front of us, Liam Sheedy, Tommy Dunn, very much happier.
So Patrick Horgan from Glen Rovers back to strike this from well inside his own half. The gale behind him, and over it goes.
That's a score. That's a brilliant point from Horgan. But again, it is one they needed now just to settle themselves down, and they need to get back in and around midfield and start winning the ball like they were in the first half, because you know, 4 points is not a bad lead in the circumstances.
That's now 220 for Patrick Horgan in just over 2.5 matches. This, of course, Cork's 3rd championship game in 14 days. Will that start to take its toll the longer the evening wears on? Jack O'Connor still full of running out in front, and he's won his free, and he's a real handful once he gets that ball in his hand.
Yeah, Alan Flynn really had done a good job, but you see he's holding the hurley and clear free.
Jack O'Connor from Sarsfields, just a handful of possessions so far, but he's made a couple of them count. Kieran Kingston getting ready to introduce Stephen McDonald from Glen Rovers, a corner back with a lot of big match experience. Here's a corner forward with plenty of big games under his belt, and that's another one for Horgan. Another one for Cork. And they're starting to reel Tip back in again. And here comes the change. It's McDonald for Downey.
Yeah, McDonald is going back full back, and Colm Spillane seems to be coming out centre back.
So one Glenman for another in the Cork. And as Nicky said, there's a reshuffle as well. McDonald much more at home in the full back line. He's gone in to pick up Jason Ford. So just 3 points between the teams. And right now, just 7 teams left in the race for the Liam McCarthy Cup. Clare have already knocked out Wexford this evening. But this Munster Derby still very much there for the taking as Mark Coleman stands over this sideline cut.
Yeah, I think we're in for a great 20 minutes here. This is going to go right down to the wire.
Long ball in over the head of Jack O'Connor. Wins the foot race with Alan Flynn, but Flynn bided his time. And the man from Killadangan nips in to get it away. Down towards Jake Morris. Lovely flick over the head of O'Donoghue, but he was too tight to the sideline.
Yeah, maybe a bit too complicated from Jake Morris. He was trying to touch it back over his head and get onto it again, but maybe he'd have been better off to try and get it under control. And I'd say just inside Alan Flynn, probably lucky to get away with a little push in the back on Jack O'Connor there for Cork.
Liam Sheedy keeping a very close watch on Declan Dalton. He's just inside the tip 65. He struck that right on the sweet spot, but just tailed away, wind behind him. And that's just a 4th wide of this game for Cork. Declan Dalton, I think, just needs to carry out some running repairs on his right boot. But the game has already restarted. And Shamie Callanan on the ball, trying to make something happen. He's away from Callanan, and Shamie Callanan drills over his 2nd point of the evening.
Yeah, this is more like Shamie Callahan, the Tip supporters love. Front, ball up in front of him, beautiful touch. And not easy, but from a tight enough angle gets his point. But that ball into Shamie Callanan is causing terrible trouble for Damien Cahalane.
Well, it turns out Declan Dalton had an issue with his right leg, and that's now being tended to. But Shamie Callanan there, poetry in motion, and he's just steered Tip 4 points up again. And this is a big loss to Cork. Declan Dalton will have to come out, and it's Dara Fitzgibbon. Well, not a bad replacement. Former All-Star Dara Fitzgibbon, so versatile, so quick,
yeah,
so talented. He's in for his first taste of Championship 2020.
Dara Fitzgibbon has had a hamstring injury, but if he's at his best, he could do big damage here.
So now Cork with a chance to hit back. It's Harnedy, and he squeezes it just between the posts. His 2nd of the second half, 3 in it again.
Harnedy is one of the players Cork need on the ball. He's going to score when he gets it.
So just trying to figure out where exactly Kieran Kingston has sent Dara Fitzgibbon. There has been a reshuffle by the looks of things in that Cork forward line. Mark Coleman backpedaling, did brilliantly to lift that ball, flicked it up to himself on the run. Luke Meade gets away with the attempted clearance, and Sean O'Donoghue will give it to Dara Fitzgibbon. First time he's got the ball in his hands, trying to feed it through to O'Connor. Perhaps a little too anxious to deliver the pass, and that will roll out for a 5th Cork miss. 19 minutes to go.
Yeah, Dara Fitzgibbon put a bit too much on it, but the idea was very good.
Well, nothing obvious on there for Brian Hogan, as you could see from behind the goal, so he delivers it long up towards Niall O'Mara. Conor Marr as well. Shane Kingston spills it, and Jake Morris wins it back again. Shamie Callanan runs into the corner, being tracked by his shadow for the evening, Damien Cahalane. Callanan feeds it back to Noel McGrath. Robbie O'Flynn there did just enough to knock McGrath out of his stride, and Harnedy takes over. He's got Fitzgibbon for company. Harnedy goes it alone, and Shamie Harnedy on the run. Beautiful score.
And again, deadly accurate from Shamie Harnedy, but Noel McGrath won't be happy there. He had that ball, really, he had possession and managed to lose it.
So we will now have the water break to signal the midway point of the second half, and Tip, who led by 2 at the break, are 2 up now again. Let's head back down to pitch side and check in with Ollie and JJ.
Yeah, Tipperary took over the first 7 or 8 minutes. They got 1, 2 or 3. Jason Ford got an unbelievable goal, but the ball into Shane McCallan is after proving some amount of it over the last 15 minutes, and he shows how good he is when he does get that quality ball, get the ball in his hand. He's virtually unstoppable as well. Big plus for Tipperary in the second half as well is Willie Connors as well. He's been playing very, very well in wing forward, as much as the Cork lads took off Robert Downey as well. So big move from Cork taking off him, but look, Willie Connors is playing very well in that wing as well.
Yeah, I suppose we're just looking at the goal there from Jason Ford. He had a lot of work to do when he got that ball. I mean, he got the most out of his steps as well, but a great finish in these conditions this evening. I see Seamus Harnedy coming into the game there in the second half for Cork, and we also have had the introduction of Dara Fitzgibbon, a fantastic hurler, and he might have an input on it from the Cork point of view in the second quarter here in the second half.
Thanks, lads. Well, this, of course, the last chance. Liam Sheedy and his backroom team and Kieran Kingston and his coaches will get to talk to their players. Nicky, what's the message likely to have been in the 2 huddles there?
Well, certainly Liam Sheedy will be a lot happier with the third quarter and the work rate and Willie Connors' impact and better ball going into Shane McCallan, and so they'll be happy enough with that. Cork have come back into it a bit though just before the water break there, and Kieran Kingston will be encouraging them, I'd say, to keep going at it around the middle of the field, get ball into the hands of Shamie Harnedy particularly, and get scores.
Well, the teams have divided 14 points between them evenly since half-time. That's how close things are. Tip have made a change. Number 23, Paul Flynn, hit 7 points from play in the county final for Killadangan. He has been sprung here by Liam Sheedy, and the man who's made way is Bonner Marr, who was making his comeback tonight for the first time in almost a year and a half. So fresh legs of Flynn into the Tip forward line as we watch Harnedy go for broke, go for point number 4, and that is the pick of the bunch. Cork not done yet by any means.
Yeah, Niall O'Mara now, he really has his hands full with Shamie Harnedy. He's got to get, from a Tipperary perspective, he's got to get grips with him, because Harnedy is, in spite of the conditions, like, he's deadly accurate, and he's scored 4 points here now, and you know, every ball he gets he's going to score.
And he's just knocked over 3 in a row. Cork hitting a purple patch. Tip trying to hit back. Here's Michael Breen. He hasn't put a foot wrong all evening, and that is point number 4 for him as well.
Yeah, outstanding play by Michael Breen and good response, and you know, Tip are trying to hold on to that 2-point lead.
Great take by Dara Fitzgibbon, herring down on goal. Fitzgibbon, and Hogan stretches that 6'6" frame to make the save, but there was a foul on Fitzgibbon, so James Owens will bring it back for a free in. Yeah, but he's already made his impact.
Class player, Dara Fitzgibbon. Great pace. He's got a bit stronger as well, but look, he's only one going for goal, and I think it's Pádraig Maher comes in across him there and gives away the free.
Well, he's such an exciting player, Dara Fitzgibbon, All-Star 2018. That hamstring injury we mentioned kept him out of the defeat to Waterford and the win over Dublin. But he's back in business by the looks of things, and now Horgan with a chance to leave it balanced on a knife edge again.
Yeah, they're able to get it back to 1, but every time they've done that, Tip are able to answer and sneak it out to 2, and this is really the critical stage now.
Well, it is a legendary rivalry. It's more than 130 years old, as old as the game itself. And right now, it's anyone's guess who's going to the All-Ireland quarter-final next weekend. Brendan Maher trying to keep the All-Ireland champions moving in the right direction. Ball doesn't stick, cleared away by Stephen McDonald, the Cork sub, down into the corner towards Horgan and Kingston. Jack O'Connor as well. Driving out onto that ball is Ronan Maher from Thurles Sarsfields to Brendan Maher. Steadied himself, looks for the run of Dan McCormack, who was locked there in combat with Tim O'Mahony, and the referee James Owens, I think, felt there was pulling and dragging, but the majority of it being done by the Tip man, and Cork will get the free.
Interestingly, Tip have made a change. Pádraig Maher has gone to mark Shamie Harnedy. Liam Sheedy is making sure that Shamie Harnedy, or trying to make sure that Shamie Harnedy, the impact is reduced.
Harnedy with 4 points from play, 3 of them coming in a quick fire burst. Ball breaks on the edge of the D. Horgan read it, but that's a good challenge initially by Brendan Maher. Horgan does well to slip it back to Jack O'Connor, but it just sat up in front of Dan McCormack, and Dan McCormack has won his free. But it's all hands to the pump now. Less than 15 minutes to go. Tip ahead by the bare minimum.
Every ball is going to be vital here now, and mistakes are going to be highlighted.
Jack O'Connor, the player in your picture, being spoken to by the referee and going into the little black book.
Yeah, probably just for a high challenge, but he really got a hospital pass to him, and he was swallowed up quickly by Tipperary's defenders.
So Brian Hogan, son of Ken, the former All-Ireland winner with Tip as well, lets this into the corner, looking for Callanan. Good solid hit by the Tip full forward. This is Paul Flynn, first chance for the substitute to get his hands on the ball, but good pressure by Cork. Again, they put the squeeze on Flynn, and they managed to nudge him, edge him out over that far sideline.
Yeah, and with Mark Coleman taking it, he's going to get you 50 or 60 yards from there most of the time anyway.
Cork getting ready there to bring in Conor Lahan. He's just getting himself organised and will be joining the action very shortly by the looks of things. Tim O'Mahony manages to break the tackle. Robbie O'Flynn, first chance for him to stretch his legs in this second half. O'Flynn, man of the match last weekend, and that's his first of this knockout qualifier, and it's enough to level the game again.
Yeah, well worked, broke through the tackle, and that's what he did very, very well against Dublin last week, and he maintaining that form.
Well, now the Fat very much back in the fire. Dara Fitzgibbon puts the pressure on O'Mara and comes away with the ball. Fitzgibbon lost his hurley with the hit. It's gone out for a 65.
Yeah, Niall O'Mara lost it, and Dara Fitzgibbon was bearing down on goal. Tip did actually well to recover the situation. It was, might be Noel McGrath came across there to get in a block.
Sides level for the 4th time here at the LIT Gaelic grounds, and it is the All-Ireland champions Tipperary and one of their biggest challengers, Cork, right now, who cannot be separated. And here comes a few changes. Paddy Cadell from JK Brackens is going to replace Noel McGrath, the Tipperary playmaker, while any moment now Conor Lahan will be in as well. But Flynn and Cadell, two of the new breed in this Tipperary squad, in to try and turn the tide.
Yeah, and certainly, they'll need energy and fresh legs around the place now for the last 10 minutes, and that's the plan, I'd say, from Liam Sheedy.
Well, Cork are back in front, and that's 1-7 for Patrick Horgan. Well, they've been playing catch-up for so much of this game. Tip just keeping them at arm's length. But between Harnedy and Horgan, slowly and surely now, Cork have Tip right where they want them. 10.5 minutes to go, and that change has been made. It's Lahan for O'Connor in the Cork forward line. Willie Connors draws on it to lash it in towards goal, in towards Jason Ford. He felt he was being held, no free. 10 minutes to go, and now it's Cork's turn to sit in the driving seat. Robbie O'Flynn tries to drive out with it, looking for Fitzgibbon. Too tight though. Good play initially by the Tipperary defender O'Mara. And there's Dan McCormack. Jason Ford had it, lost it, does get the shot in. It's another Tipperary wide, and they are now up to 17 misses.
You see Liam Sheedy there scratching his head. Those couple of wides that Jason Ford has had from the free and Shamie Callanan's one, how vital are they going to be? Particularly with very few chances being created into the wind.
Well, Cork, with the wind behind them now, have taken the initiative. They've hit 6 of the last 7 points in the game. Outsiders coming into the match. But right now, it's Tipperary's turn to feel the pressure. Paddy Maher gets his head up. He's looking for Callanan again. Damien Callanan jumping with him. Maher there as the sweeper to double up, and Coleman comes away with it, and job done for Cork. Here's Tim O'Mahony, breaks the tackle up towards Horgan, knocked down by Maher. 2 or 3 tip men all waiting for the break. One of them was Alan Flynn, the other Brendan Maher, and that's the clean-up job done. Ball delivered down in front of the substitute Paul Flynn, but once again it doesn't stick. Once again it's going to be returned with interest. It's Robbie O'Flynn, and that is away and wide. Well, I think O'Flynn and Cork felt that was on its way over the bar. Instead it's out for a 6th, Cork wide.
I thought so myself, and Cork have had the better of it for the last minute or two, but still didn't get the score.
Now Dan McCormack, can he come up with the equaliser? Yes, he can. Dan McCormack with a lovely strike, sides level for the 5th time.
Dan McCormack and Michael Bream have been very reliable when they've taken the shots on, and Tiff hanging in there.
Well, we've got to watch some great games between these two neighbours down through the years, and for excitement and intensity, this one as good as any. Paddy Maher takes it and lets it go long in towards Callanan, just beyond his reach. Back there to cover is Colm Spillane, the commanding Cork number 3, and the spare man this time is Tim O'Mahony, as Sean O'Donoghue makes a break over on that left-hand side. So much movement up front. O'Donoghue will let it into the space, looking for the run of Conor Lahan. He's got Alan Flynn chasing after him. Lahan steals a glance over his shoulder, and that's going to drop short, even with the wind behind it. A missed chance for Cork, and Tip will try and build from the back. Cathal Barrett, the all-star cornerback, lets it in over the head of Paul Flynn. Man trying to get across to him is Dan McCormack. Paul Flynn cuts inside, and that is Paul Flynn's first score in senior championship hurling, and it's a big one. Tip ahead again.
Great score by Paul Flynn. He had a great county final, and you know, he made the ground, took on the shot, whereas Conor Lahan was shooting away shoulder with the last shot for Cork. So you know, that's what you have to do in these conditions. You have to make the shot easier, and Flynn did that.
All to play for. Paddy Maher just slipped at the crucial moment. He was just winding up. Dara Fitzgibbon in to pick up the pieces. His attempted clearance half blocked down. Everything being done now under pressure and at speed. That's a lovely flick by Flynn to Ronan Maher, looking to extend the Tip advantage. But there they go and miss another chance.
Yeah, every shot here should be well considered here, because it's very hard to score, and this is really going down to the wire.
Colm Spillane from Castle Lines just dwelt on it. That allows Callanan in, McCormack too. Tip Hunt in a little pack there. Paddy Maher joins in, and eventually down goes Harnedy, fouled, and Cork have a free, and this will be a shot at goal and a chance for Patrick Horgan to leave us right back at square one again.
What a contest though. Look at the way Shamie Harnedy came in and won the ball, and you know, it's Shamie Callanan out fouling him there. It's just this is really going down to the wire. These next few minutes here are critical. This looks, on a normal day, this is an easy free for Patrick Horgan, but as we've said so often tonight, nothing is easy in these conditions.
Well, no player has scored more than Patrick Horgan in the Munster Championship. No player has scored more than Patrick Horgan for Cork tonight either. And Patrick Horgan has tied it up, a goal and 8 for the captain. All square for the 6th time. Hogan goes short, and Tip get away with it. Here's Niall O'Mara. Ronan Maher delivering a diagonal ball, well taken in the air by Michael Breen. Breen driving towards the Cork goal. Breen holding off 2 defenders, and that's an inspirational score from big Michael Breen. 5 points, all from play.
Absolutely outstanding from Michael Breen. Watch that catch there. He had a lot to do, and he still had to, beat 2 or 3 Cork players to get the shot away.
Alan Flynn taking care of business in that tip full back line. Hogan just covering that pass with the bare minimum to spare, as again the diagonal delivery is looking for somebody to make a run. Paul Flynn, the nearest man to it, but skids out over that far sideline. And with less than 4 minutes to go, it's Tip who lead by a single point, and extra time and even penalties still very much on the menu.
That's for certain, Mike. This is, it's tremendous contest in unbelievable conditions. A brilliant line ball from Mark Coleman.
Coleman gets right under that to knock it down into the corner towards Kingston or Lahan. Well defended by Brendan Maher. And Brendan Maher showing just why he's a 3-time All-Star, former All-Ireland winning captain as well.
Yeah, just held back by Conor Lahan. Brendan makes the most of it, but he's an experienced player, and they get a chance to waste a bit of time. But the last couple of balls that have gone into the Cork full forward line have come to Lahan's side more, and they haven't really stuck there. The ball has been clear.
Shane Kingston currently at full forward for Cork, waiting for something to come his way as Brian Hogan drives this down in on top of Michael Breen. Tidied up by McDonald. Away by Coleman. Always seems to use the ball so well.
Beautiful player, Mark Coleman.
Now Colm Spillane crosses his own 65. Just about weighted that pass for Kingston. Bill Cooper. Cork trying to work the ball to a shooter. It's going to be Dara Fitzgibbon. It's going to be very close, and he's just pushed it wide. Cork's 7th. Again, it wasn't very far away.
Didn't miss by much, and he was the right man to take the shot on. It was well recycled, but just wide. And again, anxiety now will be getting into the Cork shooting.
Cork's Aidan Welsh getting ready to come in. Kieran Kingston looking to send in another ball winner, another worker. Lovely pick by Willie Connors, and a beautiful pass out through the side door. Jake Morris is gone. Morris, goal! Terrific run, terrific finish, and the All-Ireland champions strike for a second goal with the finish line in sight.
And from a Tipperary perspective, the right man got it. He'd only one thing in his mind, go for goal, and sticks it right into the corner of the net. Watch this, takes a look up, and no stopping that. Absolute bullet into the corner, and what a huge score with 2 minutes to go.
Well, Jake Morris from Nina Airog is a born goal scorer. Hit the net against Limerick in the Munster Championship 2 weeks ago, and he's just done it again here at the LIT Gaelic grounds. And now Tip have a little bit of breathing space as we swing towards additional time at the end of this rip-roaring All-Ireland qualifier. And Kieran Kingston knows now, as does Liam Sheedy, it's all about the clock.
Yeah, certainly Cork haven't shown much signs of getting a goal in the second half here, and they're going to need one now.
Mark Coleman to cut this in. Remember, Cork have lost Declan Dalton already to an injury. Their target man on the edge of the square, we're hearing, will have at least 3 minutes of additional time. Still plenty of time for another twist or a turn. Sean O'Donoghue trying to make up the ground. He'd lost initially, and he does. The very neat and tidy corner back from Iniscara across to Mark Coleman. Solos out of his own defence, bides his time and then plays the pass. Kingston outnumbered though 2-1, and Barrett, the pocket rocket tip corner back, out to Willie Connors, and Connors will drive it up the field. It's knocked in the general direction of Jason Ford. Paul Flynn in after it as well. A foul on Stephen McDonald, and Cork have a free out.
Yeah, Stephen McDonald definitely fouled there, and Cork need to get this. They really need to get it in around the square and maybe get a penalty if they can engineer one.
Well, it's all on the line now. Cork fighting to survive and stay in the championship. Tip trying to stay out in front. This time their defence stands up to the challenge. Brendan Maher watches as Niall O'Mara releases the goal scorer, Jake Morris. Under 20 last season, but looking very comfortable in the Tip full forward line in recent weeks. That delivery though, knocked into no man's land. Cork have got it back again. Mark Coleman comes out along that left wing. Diagonal ball for the run of Tim O'Mahony. Harnedy in there as well. Breaking ball read by Brendan Maher. And just look where Shamie Callanan is, the Tip captain, back to help out in defence. McCormack. Tip try to work it through the lines, and now they look to release Paul Flynn in the corner. Chasing after him is Sean O'Donoghue. We're into the 2nd minute of additional time. Can Cork come up with a piece of magic or two? They're getting ready to spring Billy Hennessy from St. Finbarr's.
Yeah, you hear the Cork management trying to encourage their players just to push in. That's their best chance now is to get in there, but Tip very comfortable on the ball and finishing stronger. You wonder what the impact of Tip Cork's 3rd week in a row is having on them. They seem to be getting tired.
We wondered, would Tip be fresh after the 2-week layoff since they lost to Limerick? Would Cork take momentum with them into their 3rd game in 14 days, or would they start to flag? As Nicky said, it's Tip now who are finishing the stronger. That goal from Jake Morris has certainly helped as Ronan Maher comes driving out of defence and took ball first, then the man, Willie Connors, off to Paul Flynn. There's a chance here for Flynn to score, and Paul Flynn takes it with both hands. He's made a really big impression since he came in off the bench, the man from Killadangan. That's his 2nd, and Tip now lead by 5.
He's worked very hard, and then anytime he's had a shot, he's been very, very careful and very accurate. And Cork thrown the last few subs at it here, but they really just need a miracle at this stage.
So Dylan Quirk is in for Tip. Jason Ford is the player who's made way, and Cork have brought in Billy Hennessy. Cork looking to pull back a score, and they do. Win behind them down at the city end, and Bill Cooper leaves us with a 4-point game. But we're in now to the 4th minute of additional time. Cork's ambitions, their hopes, their dreams of staying in the championship hanging by a thread. They need 2 scores, one of them a goal, to force this to extra time. Tip just need to hang on a little longer. First touch for Dylan Quirk. In there just overshot the runways. Stephen McDonnell across to O'Donoghue. There goes the final whistle. And the All-Ireland champions Tipperary live to fight another day, and just look what it means to Liam Sheedy. Their dream of putting together back-to-back All-Irelands for the first time since the 1960s is still alive. But Cork's championship adventure is over for another year. They have reached the end of the road here at the LIT Gaelic grounds after an energy-sapping battle on a night when the rain fell in sheets and the wind blew from beginning to end. But Nicky, Tipperary, the All-Ireland champions, still standing.
Great credit to both teams in the conditions, and Tipperary that's a huge win for them. You know, they had a poor first half with the wind. It didn't look great for them. They were only 2 points in front at half-time, but their work rate increased massively in the second half. Whatever Liam Sheedy said to them at half-time, they worked the ball well, they got the goals. Jason Ford a great goal, and then the clincher really Jake Morris. But their big players, they started to play better. Shamie Callanan, they got a grip in their defence, and you know, other than for Shamie Harnedy, the Cork attack really petered out. Whether that's because of their 3rd week in a row, who knows? But Tipperary will be delighted with that win, and they'll go on into the draw for next week quarterfinals, and they won't be. They're a team that nobody really will want to draw, because they could improve from this.
Well, despite shooting 18 wides, Tipperary get out of here with the win. They get their championship back on track after that bitterly disappointing defeat to Limerick a couple of weeks ago. It has finished here after a real battle. Tipperary 218, Cork 117. We'll be back with analysis and reaction next.
Littlewoods Ireland, proud sponsor of the GAA Hurling Championship.
The Music Magpie Black Friday event. Enjoy big savings on refurbished phones and tech every day this Black Friday at Music Magpie. Why wouldn't you?
I always loved you, Sven Shannon. I never said it, but...
Whoa! Did Spin Rod just die?
Yeah.
Can you do it again?
Sure.
I always loved you, Sven Shannon. Missed it again. Alexa, rewind 10 seconds.
I never said it, but...
These days, it can be a challenge to get the medication you need, and maybe you'd rather not visit a pharmacy. Arranging repeat prescriptions can be a pain, or it might be something you'd rather not talk about. At ukmeds.co.uk, you can request a range of prescribed medication using our private prescription service. You can order 24/7, and we deliver safely and discreetly to your door. All you pay for are your meds. UK Meds, the pharmacy in your hands.
Many of us struggle to feel confident when it comes to decisions about our finances. At ClearScore, we help you understand your credit report, improve your score, and find credit card and loan offers that are personalised to you. You can see how likely you are to be accepted, and with pre-approved offers, you stay in control, knowing where you stand before you even apply. Join 9 million people using ClearScore. Download the free app today. ClearScore, making credit work for you.
Being a top athlete is tough. Running a business is challenging. But some things in life don't have to be that difficult, like looking for finance. Loanit makes finance simple.
That's why when I look for finance, I use Loanit.
Loanit.ie. We do it all for you.
The time has come to start counting down. The December draws are coming to town. 22 million will be won in prizes. Every day brings 50k surprises. You have until midnight on the 19th of November to enter your postcode in the draws for December. Who knows, your Christmas could begin with a fantastic postcode lottery win.
Eat this 2020. Double Down is back at KFC and available for delivery exclusively on Uber Eats.
This is our tradition. This is our uniqueness. Di Serono, the endless Dolce Vita.
This is Paula. Paula was flying high a few months ago, and then this happened. Signal shamed one call at a time. Can you go on mute, Paula? Joking, Paula. Just go with BT.
So these are people that tried to kill us?
Yeah. We kill everyone on the list.
Yeah. Do you really think they come back?
I know, Jack. This is unfinished business.
Oi!
You used to be fun.
I'm still fun!
I'm coming for you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Remember what your mum said? Act normal.
That's the point of the match, actually. The point of the match.
Tis, yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. Gee, don't tell me he's gone back for Hawkeye.
Full of commitment, full of pride, fighting to the bell again. Wonderful to see.
Katie Taylor is an absolute legend. What
herself. She will continue making history.
I'm a two-way world champion. I'm the best ever.
So we've already had 2 crucial knockouts on Sky Sports today. To see if Katie Taylor's title defence fight adds another, you need to stay with us here on Sky Sports Mix. But we're back next weekend for another of one of the All-Ireland hurling quarterfinals. But this is how this game ended. The All-Ireland champions march on a scoreline of 2 goals and 18 points to Cork's 117. Yeah, good win for Tipperary there at the end of the day. Terrible conditions in the first half. The wind, the rain kind of died down the second half, and it was a brilliant contest, Ollie, wasn't it?
Yeah, great contest in the second half, Grania, and we mentioned at half time that the rain had stopped and hopefully the game would open up a little bit in the second half, which it did, and it finished up with 218 to 117, which was great scoring in these conditions. So second half was really very, very close. You know, the teams were level on numerous occasions. Both teams probably had some momentum and then had some uncharacteristic misses that set them back a bit, and then whether it was Cork come back or Tip come back then. So a very, very exciting second half there to finish, and Tipperary just getting the goal 2 minutes from full time to kind of seal the deal for them.
That we spoke before the game was about that tiredness that we might see. Do you feel that had any impact on that second half?
I don't think so. I think the Tip guys kind of showed what they're All-Ireland champions are champions for a reason. They weren't going to relinquish their crown too easy, and that second half kind of is more work and grit that was needed tonight, and that Tipperary team showed that in spades now in the second half too. They got on top in the first few minutes, and then Cork had their purple patch, but then they finished the game stronger as well. They emptied the bench. Willie Connors had a great second half. Paul Flynn came on there as well and got a couple of good scores, and Jake Morris sniffed out an opportunity near the end, and look, he got the ball with 30 or 40 yards out, but he went straight for the goal as well, so it shows that killer instinct that they have as well. But no, Tipperary in fairness in the second half, I think they grounded out. They weren't happy with their first half performance. They had the elements, didn't use them to maximum ability, but second half they grounded out. Great response there from Tipperary.
Okay, well, let's look at those goals because they came at crucial times.
Yeah, I suppose they did, and the first goal came after about 41 minutes, and this was a period in the game where really you were waiting for some team to kind of step up. Jason Ford gets this, takes a lot out of the ball, but he had a lot of work to do to get around here, gets inside his man, good defending really, but a great finish, great strike in these conditions. And then I suppose the next one came. The next one came from Jake Morris here, comes right through, and in fairness to him, he had a guy open, but he went for it, he backed himself and knocked it into the right-hand corner. But a great strike there, came off the ground and really gave Anthony Nash no chance in the goals.
But in fairness to Cork, JJ, I mean, I think after the first goal, I think Seamus Callan added on a few points. It was 112 to 107. So again, they didn't lie down. They came straight back into it.
No, brilliant response again now in fairness to, and the key guys stood up there. The likes of Seamus Harnedy had a brilliant second half there as well. Dara Fitzgibbon came on, and you'd be just wondering from a Cork point of view if he was fully fit for the whole 70 minutes, would he have made a huge difference too, So yeah, look, Cork on the attack there as well. Bill Cooper picking up the ball. Look, he sees, that's what Cork were doing all day. There were 20 or 30 yard pass into the hand, and Seamus Harnedy was popping him over. The confidence is up with Seamus at that particular stage. He's after getting a couple of scores before that, and when his confidence is up, he'll shoot from many angles as well. Robbie Flynn coming through there as well, breaking the tackle, getting the ball at speed, breaking through that Tipperary half-back line. But Cork will look back in this game, they'll be very disappointed. They had a couple of opportunities to go 1 or 2 points ahead. They were a point ahead. They could have went 2 or 3 points ahead. They actually drove them wide. Robbie Flynn had one chance, he drove it wide. Tipperary went back down and pegged them back to a point, or pegged them back level. Cork had another opportunity to go a point ahead, missed that, and Tip went down and punished them there again. So they will look back in this game with opportunities missed.
And just them scores drawing you as well. I mean, Cork looked like that they had the energy. Robbie O'Flynn was coming into the game. Seamus Harnedy hit 4 today, and he hit most of them in the second half. So at that period, we were kind of talking up here, and we kind of felt that Cork maybe had the legs on this Tipperary team, and we kind of expected Cork to push on from there. But in fairness, the old guys at the back there, Padraig Mara got on ball, Brendan Mara got on some ball, Ronan Mara, they came into the game, in the last 10 or 15 minutes there, and stood up when they were needed by Tipperary.
Yeah, we did say it was experience. We're not going to use the word age anymore. It's experience, plenty of experience today. And talking about experience, I mean, looking at that Tipperary and Cork side today, you had to pick man of the match. Like, who were your contenders today?
Yeah, I think, look, on the Cork point of view, Mark Coleman had a brilliant game. Anytime, I love just watching the guy hurling. He's just so much time in the ball, always makes the right decision. Cork point of view, he was absolutely brilliant. Tipperary point of view, I suppose, with the winners, Dan McCormick had a great game, worked very, very hard. But for me, there's only one winner of man of the match. The centre man of the match was Mikey Breen. He got 5 points from middle field. From start to finish, we showed a couple of points he scored in the first at half-time there as well. 2 brilliant points in the first. Kept them going, and he popped up with a couple of vital scores in the second half here, just right beside us as well. So definitely worthwhile man of the match is Michael Breen.
Okay, well, let's hear from him now, because he's been speaking with our reporter Shane Dawson.
Michael, congratulations. You're today's centre man of the match. A savage battle out there. Just how pleasing is that victory?
Yeah, 100%. Like, that first half there was just an absolute battle, and we knew today that we needed to perform, and I think we did that in the end. Cork had patches, we knew they were going to come because they're a quality side, but thank God we just weathered the storm and got through it.
I'm sure it looked bad for our viewers watching on TV, but just how tough were those conditions?
Yeah, like, you seen there in the first half, it was sheets of rain. In the second half, eased off a bit. You know, I suppose first half was work, second half we got to hurl, but you know, enjoyable in the end.
But somehow you still managed 5 points yourself.
Yeah, well, like, you know, it could be anyone else the next day. I know it's a cliche, but it genuinely could, because on the team you see the boys, they're not afraid just to pop it out to whoever's in the best position, and it was me today, thank God. Yeah.
As a team, did you have a point to prove, considering the way the Limerick result went?
100%. We felt that we weren't ourselves the last day. You know, whatever benchmark we set, it's just against ourselves. You know, Limerick were quality side last day, Cork quality side today. We just knew if we were ourselves that, you know, we'd have no worries, and thankfully that was the way it was.
You're certainly a team that knows how to grind out the matches. Did the experience stand to you in the end?
Yeah, I suppose we know the back roads. You know, we travelled this path last year. And yeah, look, we're still nobodies. We're just on step one of a journey. So, look, that's all we can take it as.
And Tip Cork, a great rivalry in itself. Tip March on, does it make it all the sweeter considering Cork are knocked out now?
Sure, look, you'd like to meet them down the line in maybe a final, but you know, I spent a lot of time down there in Cork with guys in college, and you know, they're sound men and, you know, quality hurlers. So they're not too dislike ourselves, you know, because I suppose the Munster rivalry goes back years and years. So there's plenty history there.
Well done today.
Thanks, lads. Cheers.
Yeah, I think he was being very diplomatic there. They're thrilled that they bet Cork there today. But just something that he said there about the performance, that they had a point to prove. Did they prove that point today, Ali, for you? As in that they've improved from that Limerick game?
Yeah, I think they definitely have improved. Is there room for improvement? I think so. I think we saw they hit 17 or maybe 18 wides. Some of the wides that they hit, you know, would not be acceptable to Liam Sheedy and the management team. So they have room for improvement, but they definitely have come on. And as we said there, in that second half, I just felt that Cork maybe had the legs and maybe had that little bit more. But in fairness, Tipperary, they stood up in the last few minutes. They got the scores that they needed, and Jake Morris put the game to bed with his goal near the end.
Yeah, and these are the points that you talked about, and about how influential he was throughout this game.
Yeah, he was doing this all day. He was just breaking through in the right place, the right position. But he was just so physically, powerfully strong. We were he's on and off the team for the last couple of years. You're kind of waiting for him to make his print on it. Hopefully today now he'll kick on for the rest of the championship and just kind of cement down his place around the middle of the field, because he's so effective, right or left. We've seen a great score on his right in the first half, then one off his left. But this was the pick of the bunch, I thought. Now he had a lot of work to do here now, and showed great kind of power to win the ball first of all, but then great little touch to hit the ball over the bar as well. He has it all, to be fair.
Yeah, well, he has indeed. And of course, they're marching on. The All-Ireland champions are still in this year's championship. But Jamesy, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I think, listen, the lads, easy decision for JJ. Bringing 5 points from play on a night like tonight was outstanding. I thought as well that, you know, the energy that Tip got from the bench. Willie Connors had a big second half. Paul Finn, obviously 2 points in play, made a big difference when he came on. And Jake Morris, getting him out the field, gave Tip more legs, more energy out there. And what a goal that was, I suppose, the decisive score in that second half. Now, I suppose 2 things I watching that second half, I suppose worth highlighting. First of all, Seamus Harnedy and the influence that he had. Now, Cork midfielders, I think Luke Meade, Bill Cooper, worked very, very hard. They're deep in their own half-back line here. And I thought maybe they had tired and their influence waned maybe in that last 10 minutes. But Nash, plenty of time to find the puck out here. Ball to Tim O'Mahony. Lovely pass down the line to Harnedy. Just running on a little bit here. Here he is. Okay, and again, plenty to do here. Plenty of tip bodies in the vicinity. But he peels around, creates that bit of space for himself. And you know, this is a fantastic score from distance. You know, given how, you know, poor the conditions were, and what a massive, I suppose, really third quarter he had. 4 points in play. Again, Nash, this time going long. Ball breaks through to Harry. Gets the flick on here. Now, two things I want to watch here. Just let it on a little bit here. Now, down here at the bottom of the screen, I think is Shane Kingston, all right? And Pádraig Maher, who's here in this position, okay, has had a quick look back and he's seen that, listen, there's potentially danger here. And just watch the energy that Maher shows to get back in to provide a bit of cover to his half-back line. He's bursting a gut to get back there. And that, I suppose, maybe eliminates the possibility of maybe Cork getting a little bit more out of it, and the danger is averted. Now, the very end again, Harry onto a good ball here. All right. Now, for me, in this opportunity, got Darragh Fitzgibbon beside him, and Fitzgibbon, you know, one of the fastest players in the country. And I think, if anything, Seamus Harry needs to take this ball on further, and maybe there's a little bit more in it for Cork. Now, again, if he keeps going, I think with Fitzgibbon coming off the shoulder, there's maybe an opportunity, you know, as I said, possibly to create a goal chance. But I suppose, given the form he's in, given the scores were hard to come by, and there was nothing between the sides, he elected to pop it over the bar. Great second half from Seamus Carney, 4 points. Certainly, he can hold his head high tonight. Now, I suppose, at the other end of the field, we mentioned at half-time and before the game, I suppose, that Seamus Callanan didn't score from play, you know, in the Munster semi-final against Limerick, and he didn't score from play in the first half, but he did have an impact in the second half, and you couldn't question the energy levels and the work rate. Now, just a little thing here, Anthony Nash has overhit this easy ball here to Rob Downey, and they paid the price for it. When we run it on, Callanan here, you know, realises that his direct marker, Damien Cahalane, is in to cover the goal, and Harry is going to, you know, continue on out the field, make himself available. Willie Connors as well here, gets the pass off, and Damien Cahalane can't get out. Even though the pass is overhit, Cahalane can't get out in time. Cahalane showing his footwork, turning him in a sixpence, and showing his class to get a, you know, really valuable score into that breeze. Now again, in that, you know, important third quarter, this time he's moved over to the opposite side of the field, again having to work very, very hard, all right, to, you know, come out from that position to get on the ball. Good ball in, has taken the sweeper Mark Coleman out of play. And Callanan again showing all his experience, all his craftiness, turns onto his right side, and from a difficult angle, again into the breeze, you know, over the bar. And Tip needed leadership from Pádraig Maher. They needed leadership from Callanan and Brendan Maher, the old guard, in the second half, and they got it. But it was the most positive thing for Liam Sheedy, you know, the energy that Michael Breen, Jake Morris, Willie Connors, Paul Flynn, maybe the younger generation, I think that was really what got Tip over the line tonight. And you know, they'll be a force certainly from here on, because they know how to win, as JJ said, and Jake Morris's goal at a time when he could have tapped that ball over the bar showed the mindset, and, you know, deservedly in the quarterfinal.
Indeed they are. Well, we're going to have a short break now, and afterwards we're going to have more reaction on this game.
Championship Hurling, the clash of the Ash, Helmet and Hurley at the ready. Centra, proud sponsors of the Hurling Championship.
Fillet of fish from a dish. Big Mac down a cul-de-sac. And even under a drying rack. Cheese sides for gaming vibes. Gherkin flirting. Wraps through cat flaps. Nugs on rugs. Or a share box to the river. Because yes, we deliver.
The time has come to start counting down. The December draws are coming to town. 22 million will be won in prizes. Every day brings 50k surprises. You have until midnight on the 19th of November to enter your postcode in the draws for December. Who knows, your Christmas could begin with a fantastic postcode lottery win.
I always loved you, Sven Shannon. I never said it, but...
Whoa! Did Sven Rod just die?
Yeah.
Can you do it again?
Sure.
I always loved you, Sven Shannon. Missed it again.
Alexa, rewind 10 seconds.
I never said it, but...
Look, a shooting star. It must be Christmas. It's not Christmas till my daddy gets home.
Kevin the Carrot was a long way from home, would he spend Christmas all cold and alone?
Is it spring already?
No, it's Christmas, and I need to get home. Ow, 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 ow. Oh, dear. Right in the icicle.
Christmas without Kevin just wouldn't be the same. If he didn't return, how would Katie explain?
Kevin the Carrot? What are you doing here?
Santa.
Let's get you home. I've got an idea.
Ooh, hedgehog. Full moon tonight.
That magical moment was finally here. Christmas together with those you hold dear.
Great story, Santa.
Did I seem grumpy at the beginning?
Well, you can be a bit prickly. Merry Christmas, everyone.
The best players are in the mix going into the third round of the Masters. Justin Thomas looking for a second major title. And the world number one, Dustin Johnson, also looking for a second. Join us for all the third round action live on Sky Sports.
A collection of festive movies to make your Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Love it.
On Sky Cinema.
This November, there's something for everyone on Sky Cinema.
Don't panic, be calm.
Damn, that's good.
We're gonna do this, then let's do this.
Oh, this is brilliant indeed.
No, I like that one. Thank you.
There's something to suit everyone with an unrivaled range of the best movies.
Perfect.
Get in line, please.
On Sky Cinema.
Littlewoods Ireland, proud sponsor of the GAA Hurling Championship.
Full of commitment, full of pride, fighting to the bell again. Wonderful to see.
Katie Taylor is an absolute legend.
What a reception from the crowd.
She wants to test herself. She will continue making history.
I'm a two-way world champion. I'm the best that's come.
Yes, and that title defence from Katie Taylor can be seen shortly here on Sky Sports. But let's take a look at the results here from today. Our earlier game saw Donegal coming out on top